Hello, good evening. Welcome to all of the Let's Stamp Together people out there, the whole crowd. I don't know how many people are watching live, but even if you're watching on the replay, welcome. I am Kim Kesti here in this creative classroom at Spellbinders. So we broadcast from here in Phoenix, Arizona. And let me tell you, we were so excited to be part of this Let's Stamp Together program. I'll give you a little bit of the backstory as we get into the little class here today, but we're so excited to be here, and we think we have a really fun set of products to play with. I'm going to just walk you through all of it and share all the fun things, do all the fun stitching, and some cards without stitching, never fear. But I think we're just going to have so much fun. So, again, welcome. I am Kim. I am not here all by my lonesome. I have two very key people with me, and one is my lovely coworker, Nicole.
Hello, lovely. I like that. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
I feel like Nicole's got the pink vibe going on. Like, I don't think she planned that, but a lot of our cards have some pink on us.
I kind of did. I actually, when I got dressed this morning, I was thinking about this live tonight, and I wanted to be springy and florally and fun. So I did.
That's very sweet. Oh, thank you, Nicole. So Nicole will be here like throughout the show. If you guys have any specific questions, maybe she'll be popping in some links. Who knows, but she'll be, chatting and helping us out as we go along, or just, kind of tell me what comments you guys are making. That'll be fun too. But we also have the magic man behind the control room back there, and that is Roy. So let's say hi to Roy.
That's lovely, Magic Man, to you.
Oh, lovely, Magic Man. Okay, we're up in the stakes here. But we absolutely couldn't do it without Roy. We just love having him here for our live shows, our pre-recorded shows. We do a lot of different education here at Spellbinders. We're always trying to bring you some of the latest and greatest videos. So definitely as you go on, I know that on the postcard there's some links there for like our YouTube, and definitely check it out. So we always have a lot of fun over there. But speaking of postcard, let's take a look at the kit that you guys have in your lovely little hands. And this is the postcard. And like I said, we've got some, obviously our most important information here, but as you flip over to the back, this is where you're going to find a little bit about connecting with Spellbinders, and of course you're going to find your link here for all of the important things. So a few people are asking in the Facebook group, where's the supply list, or where do I find the special files, or some of the different things. So definitely you want to check out your postcard. Always go there for the latest and greatest information, and I know Catherine and Jen and all the girls over there keep that super duper updated. And I think they're going to be probably lurking around here during the show too. So we're going to have to, say hi to them as we go along too. But oh, look, my stamp is like flying out. It's like, come, look at me. So first of all, I just want to give a lot of kudos to Catherine for these darling little, pockets. I know she does the organizer and all the fun things. It just makes the presentation just fantastic. But what we have is 3 products that we've designed for you here at Spellbinders. And so just a tiny bit of the backstory. We had this die kind of just as a concept when Catherine approached us and said, do you have anything up your sleeve? Do you guys think you could, come up with a fun stamp die combo? And we're like, of course, but could it be like dies that match the stamps, but then also like extra pieces, like the little stitching element? And then she got excited and she was so happy. But then we got to the question of, but Catherine, can we produce the actual die ourselves? Which I know Catherine normally manufactures the matching dies, and they're fantastic, but you do have to take a peek at our unique color of our dies here at Spellbinders. So she said, well, gosh, I've never had anyone ask me that before, but sure, why not? If you guys can, produce the die yourself, ship it to us here so we can pack it with all the good things and the lovely pocket and the postcard. We're like, we can make that happen. So it was just kind of fun to have her be so flexible, and I know that she works with so many fantastic manufacturers, and we're just happy to be a part of them. That was a good conversation, right, Nicole?
It was a great conversation. Yes, I forgot about that. I mean, it's a while ago that we had that, and I think it is worth noting because it does look different than probably most other dies.
Exactly.
But I do love her magnetic storage solution.
I know, exactly.
So
we're very much in envy of our little magnetic piece here.
Yes, we are.
Stores everything with the cute, adorable logo on the back. Can't stand it. So cute. So anyway, we're going to be playing with this, the stamp, the die, the stencil, all the good things. Let me show you the 3 cards. Now, I kind of got carried away. I did a lot of extra cards, and I hope you guys don't mind. I'm going to be sharing bonus cards as we go out throughout the evening, but I kind of thought I would walk you through. These are the 3 main cards, and I mostly picked them for a couple reasons. One, they all use the stencil. These two are using the stencil in somewhat of a similar way, mainly applying ink through it. This one's going to be really fun because we're going to do a little modeling paste action here. But then also the dies are treated a little bit differently. Here we have probably what you're kind of more used to in a classic sense, that the stamp has a matching die. And so we're going to stamp these flowers. We're going to do that together, cut them out with the matching dies. The dies are a little bit unique with the stamp in that they don't cut an edge. They're cut right to the border of the flower, so they come out beautiful every single time. And then we also have the insert, of course, which does the stitching element, which you may or may not choose to do as far as the stitching part. And I'm going to show you some ways to do faux stitching. That's going to be cool. Yes, we're going to do that a little bit later on.
Faux stitching.
Faux stitching. Yeah. And then this is just a fun way to use the flowers in the die set a little bit differently without the stem. So I thought, well, these are kind of 3 different ways to highlight the fun contents you have in your kit. And then I made not 1, not 2, but 4 more cards because there's so many mix and match combinations. So I'll be sharing those as we go along. But I think what we're first going to do is this little guy, and I'm actually going to be cutting out all the pieces as you go along. I'm going to start with stenciling and then we'll move to the die cutting. But I thought this would be a good one, and because it does have the stitching, it's going to take a little bit more time. Of course, I don't expect you guys to finish all the cards in class or anything, but I do want to give you plenty of instruction and tips and techniques so you can finish them on your own also. But I want to start with the stenciling first because, why not? So what I've got here is, I've actually got my waffle flower stencil mat, which hopefully you guys have some nice surface to stencil on. It could just be a glass mat. It could just be a piece of nonstick craft paper or whatever you would like. But I do like this one because it has the nice little edge that my stencil can rest across, and it really just kind of nicely holds it in place. I don't find that I have to tape very often if I'm using this because, again, the stencil kind of stays in place. If you guys look closely, you can see a little bit of green on my stencil, and we're going to be playing with some lunar paste later. Ooh, ah. Now I have 3 colors inks that I'm using here, and I did post a file, a PDF file in the Facebook group, and so if you guys want to check that out, I have all the inks listed. I think on the original supply list I told you 2 shades of pink, maybe a couple shades of green for the leaves. Just you can use any ink you want is my main point I'm trying to spit out here. You don't have to use the exact same colors that I'm using. And actually, I'm not using yellow for this first one, Kim. I'm going to use this little baby. I have a picked raspberry and a bigger ink pad, but this little baby was the one I could find while prepping for today's video, so we're going to run with it. So this is going to be kind of an ombre effect. I'm going to bring the finished card back in here, and then I'm going to move these guys out so I don't get them all inky. But we're basically going from lighter pink to the middle pink, which is the picked raspberry, down to the more violet color. So it's just going to be a nice little ombre blended look, and the stencil's so pretty that it really does the work for you. Really, by the time you get the colors added, the pattern is just so fun and sweet. So I'm picking up some with a blender brush. We have these Spellbinders blender brushes. I have a few different varieties here. So just pick up your ink, and then you're going to just go in your nice circular motion, starting at the top. And spun sugar is pretty light, so you're going to want to go over it a time or 2 just to lay that color down. And this is going to be our very first background. Then I promise we're going to do the modeling paste next. And I kind of had the modeling paste on the supply list as a optional thing. So if you don't have modeling paste, you can definitely just watch. It's actually quite a quick technique, and it might inspire you to pick up some paste because it's really kind of a fun technique.
I missed this, Kim. Are you mixing distress and oxide inks?
I am actually, because this, and I wouldn't do that necessarily if I had picked raspberry in an oxide. But you can definitely use them both. They're both blending inks. They're both water-based. But I happen to have 2 oxides and 1 distress ink. So you can mix and match.
But you were more choosing it based on color, right?
I was choosing it based on color, exactly. Okay. I don't happen to have picked raspberry in the distress oxide. I need to get it.
Mm-hmm. Christmas is
coming. So I'm going to be able to just blend it. Got to put that on my wish list.
There you go.
But I was just going to say, if anyone is here who also participated in the recent Scrapbook and Cards Crop and Create, give us a shout out, because I did show a technique with the modeling paste that's going to be similar to what I'm sharing with you tonight. Okay, I'm going to move to my picked raspberry. And you can see this color is like, woo, a lot more vivid. It's going to go on a little bit quicker because it's darker. And I'm going kind of over where I had that original spun sugar in there. So don't be afraid to blend them together. You know, on the edges. You kind of want them to fade from one color to another. And I typically go, that's kind of one of my tips, I typically go lightest at the top. And when you're blending ink, you do want to go with your lightest color first. And then you move to your darker colors. Even if it's not, you know, top to bottom, anytime you're doing stenciling, anytime you're doing layering patterns, always start with your lightest color. Kim's tip of the day. Okay, now I'm moving to the Wilted Violet. I'm just kind of blending here. And before I lift my stencil, as I realize I'm getting to the bottom here, I'm going to kind of just take a brief glance and make sure my blending is looking good. So for example, I might want to come back in with my picked raspberry and kind of check these where that violet meets the pink and maybe smooth them a little bit. And then maybe take my spun sugar and make sure that these lines are blended well too. So just take that extra second and just take a look. And I'll cover my ink so they don't dry up. I think my spun sugar is about ready to be re-inked, I have a feeling. And then you get to do the fun thing, which is the peel and reveal, as we call it when we glimmer, but we're going to pull that pattern back and check it out. Ooh, don't want to move it up too high there. So pretty, right? I do have a teeny type top edge that I did not end up stenciling, but it's all good because we're actually trimming this panel down. This was, by the way, an A2 panel that I started with. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But when it's all done and we're ready to go to our card base, I'm going to be trimming this down to 4 inches. So I have that little bit of wiggle room to trim it down. But isn't the blending pretty? Just kind of flows nicely from one color to the next. Ooh, love it.
I like it.
So I'm going to use a baby wipe and just take some of this ink off. And again, because of the Distress ink is water-based, it like cleans up so quick. And then I'm going to show you the modeling paste next, and we're going to do another inky one, but I'm lucky enough to have this stencil and the one that kind of came in the final kit, so I have 2 stencils. I'm so lucky. So I'm going to do a modeling paste one next. Number 1, because it shows you a little bit different technique, but number 2, because it has to dry for a few minutes. So I have this Fun Stampers Journey modeling paste. This is not anything different than any other modeling paste you would find. It is a nice quality one. We used to carry it on our Fun Stampers Journey brand. I do, however, think we're sold out of this.
I think we are.
I don't want to tease you or anything, but it is plain white. There's no tint. There's no, sparkle or anything else. So I know there's a lot of great brands out there, but it's just kind of your classic white modeling paste. And it does dry pretty, what I would call matte finished. It doesn't have much color or anything to it.
Do you have your panel there?
I do have my white panel.
I'm sorry, I just had to ask because it's totally something I would do.
It's so white on white
totally
that you can't hardly even see it.
Okay, sorry. Just making sure.
Thanks for reminding me. But I'm going to drop it on with this palette knife, and then I'm actually going to bring in one of our kind of newer tools that we are carrying here at Spellbinders, but it is a Ranger tool. This was Simon Hurley's tool for applying his lunar paste, which I'm going to do, if we have time, I'm going to do the little bonus panel for that later with his lunar paste, but this is just kind of a really nice scraper, so it's pretty cool. It comes in a 2-pack with also a little spatula in it, so if you guys haven't checked that out, you can check that out at spellbinderspaperarts.com, or I'm sure
ooh, we have a link we need to share, don't we?
I think, tell us about a link. Like, why would we share a link, Nicole? What are you talking about?
So our colleague Marisa curated a bunch of products that she put on sale just for you guys.
Ooh.
Did she tell us how long this sale's going to last? I don't think it's going to last very long. I think it's just a few days.
I think it was a short time. She said short time. So.
I don't think she gave me the date, but short time. We'll find out.
Couple days
we'll find out.
Yeah.
Kim can tell you the date. But I will post a link right now in the group. Use that link and it'll drop you right into, now you can buy anything on the site you want, But these items were specially priced for you for tonight. So I will do that. I will do that now. But I have one question for you, Kim.
Let's hear it.
What could you use to color the modeling paste? Can you use reinkers? Like, what could you use to?
Okay, so the modeling paste is cool, and I have done this before. I have tinted the modeling paste, and I've used paint. So this modeling paste, check yours, but I have a feeling most just regular old modeling paste is water based too. So I think this has some information here. But as long as your product is water-based, you can add a water-based product to enhance it. So you could use acrylic paint, which is water-based. You could use dye ink, which is water-based. So you don't want to put anything, weird like alcohol-based or whatever. Or oil-based probably would not do real well. But any product that's water-based, so any kind of watercolor product, like a spritzer or an inker that comes in a bottle, anything like that. Now play around, you might have to play around with the consistency a little bit. You don't want to thin out your modeling paste too much. Powders are perfect. Like there's some really great powders out there. We need to check these out, Nicole.
We do.
That are perfect because you add them to the paste and they do not make your paste thinner. So that's what's great about like the powdered products, powdered pigments. Dump them in there, your modeling paste does not change at all. So it's pretty cool. So again, experiment around, but anything water-based. The thing I've used most often personally is good old acrylic paint. All right, now we do the peel. The peel. Oh, and this is so pretty because it adds so much dimension. I'm going to kind of pick it up here. And I'm sure Roy can be able to catch it on one of these cool camera angles, but it has got such a really cool dimension. And it's just lovely. And I've seen some of you kind of use this technique or similar already in the Facebook group where you've tried some different pastes and modeling paste, and it's so pretty. It just adds the softness, and I even love the white on white just like this as like a tone on tone. But I am going to get a little glittery, and I am going to add some really fine glitter. Again, this is like a sparkle dust glitter. We have this on our site, but any ultra fine glitter. And this would actually be an opportunity to even add some color with your glitter too. So maybe if you had a pale pink or something fun like that. Ooh, so pretty. I'm going to attempt to not get glitter all over my stencil sheet here. I'll just get it on my grid paper. So I'm just going to kind of move it around, and you do want to add your glitter right when this paste is still wet. Move it around, make sure it's on all the corners. I don't want it heavily coated with glitter. I just kind of want a nice little sparkly touch. So again, kind of moving it around. And if you guys are not fans of glitter, you absolutely can skip this step. You saw how pretty it was without. I have those fans over here that are like, some are glitter, more glitter, all the things. And other people that are like, I won't touch glitter with a 10-foot pole. So you guys might have to chime in the comments and tell me which camp you're in. Glitter or no glitter? This will be like team glitter, team no glitter. So there it is. So pretty, right? Now obviously this is going to take a little bit to dry. I may not be able to adhere my finished flowers on this tonight, but it absolutely is going to be gorgeous when it's all dry. Ooh, so pretty. Alright, so now I'm going to peel up this paper super quick so I can take the glitter. Nicole does laugh at me after I do glittering sometimes. I'll walk in, she'll be like, you've got glitter all over your face.
It's impossible not to.
Exactly. I'll dump in the precious stuff here. And of course get more in my paper. I'll recycle my paper. I'll put it down here.
It's fine. Just throw it on the floor, Kim. It's fine. I'm just kidding.
I didn't. I put it in the cabinet down here.
It slid all the way out.
Did it slide?
Yeah.
See. Sorry, clean up crew on aisle 1.
We've done a lot worse in this studio, so yes.
All right, just taking some of that paste off because I do want to stencil our very last panel just because, we'll do all the stenciling right now. Why not?
Yep.
You guys are like good at it. All right, so I've got one more white panel. I know, I'm using all the white panels. I should have brought in a different color. That would have been kind of fun. Because stenciling tone on tone is absolutely gorgeous too. So you guys, I'm anxious for you to try it, Grab a paper, so maybe it's a shade of a green or something, and add a little bit darker color ink on top. So pretty. All right, so I'm bringing into some pinks and yellows, and I'll bring the finished card real quick. I should show the glittery one too, but this one's really soft. I thought it was such a smart contrast between the dark black, bold flowers, and then this just real soft background. I didn't want the background to compete with the flowers, is really kind of what my design sense was telling me. But you can see here that I've not stenciled like from pink to yellow all the way down. I've just kind of done it randomly. So I just wanted to share that kind of tip with you too, that the stencil doesn't have to be, you know, either completely filled out or in any kind of order. You can see that it's real soft on the edges. It's not even really completely stenciled on this entire panel. So I'm going to go back here to spun sugar and scattered straw. And actually, I should bring in my little ink thing because this is something new we've been checking out here. Also from Waffle Flower. And check it out. You put your cute little ink pads on here and they just stay in place, and then you can have them like all ready to go. Think we should carry these as Spellbinders? Tell us yes or no. We always got to try out some new products. And Nina over there at Waffle Flower is kind enough to pass a few our way and say, try them out. Mm-hmm. So I'm just coming in with spun sugar and just kind of doing a little circular area. It's probably the size of a silver dollar or so. And then I'm going to skip around. I'm going to come down here and add some pink. And I know this pink doesn't show up super good on the video really, but hopefully it will. It definitely will when we do the little peel up. And I can come back with more pink, but I'm just kind of getting a few different areas here. And then we'll come back with some yellow, scattered straw, and then kind of go between the pinks. And pinks and yellow, when they kind of blend together, of course, if you imagine doing red and yellow together, you get kind of a soft peachy color. So it's really pretty when the two inks blend. Just be mindful of that when you're picking inks, when you're doing blending like this. You know, don't pick two colors that equal, you know, brown together on the color chart.
It's going to say poop, but
you're not going to be so happy.
Yeah.
But just remember your kindergarten color matching and you'll be golden. And of course, anytime you do monochromatic, you know, like 2 shades of green or even greens and blues where they're close together on the color wheel, you're going to be very happy. I see some of my pretty peachy colors kind of shining through here. I'm loving it.
Ooh, Kathy Expressive Paper says, soft. I can't believe Kim doesn't adhere that cardstock to that stencil. What a pro.
I know. You know what? But this is kind of sticky, the silicone. I mean, yes, I do admit once in a while I do a little bump and I accidentally bump it. But you know what? It's crafting, people. It doesn't have to be perfect. But yeah, this stencil, because the stencil stays in place, I mean, I think it stays pretty good. All right, now we do our little reveal. Voila, so pretty. So again, very soft, but you've got those yellows and pinks blending together and making a new color, kind of a pretty peachy. And this very much reflects the colors of my floss. So if you're wondering why I even chose these colors, when I come in to do the stitching, I did pick the colors out of my little variegated floss here. So again, another tip, you don't have to, you know, reinvent the wheel. Take cues from your products. So if you have a floss you want to use, then grab the colors from the floss, and that's what you're going to use on your stencils. So super fun, super easy. And I'm very intrigued by some of you in the Facebook group that posted that you have vintage flosses, or maybe flosses from grandmother or mom, or, you know, passed down. I think that's so super cool. And I would love to see those when you guys get them all finished with your very cool vintage flosses. Now I'm going to grab my floss. I'm going to do some die cutting next, but I'm grabbing kind of the colors of floss. I actually didn't end up using the blue in this for these card classes, but I've got kind of a pink variegated and then pink and peach together and a pretty green. So those are the colors we'll be using. As we get into our die cutting, I'm going to show you the stencil background. And I feel like it's not as sparkly right here. I think I got more glitter on the new one that I did. But this is the background with the pretty glitter on it. But we'll be doing the stamping in a minute. But let's do die cutting first, because you know what? That's what it's all about. I'm going to use my die cut, my inserts with the stitching. And this one actually doesn't use the leaves. So this first card I'm not going to end up using the leaves. Put those back on my magnetic sheet. I'm going to bring in my platinum die cutting machine.
Is that a platinum or P6?
It's a P6, you're right. It's the little one.
I was going to say, you handled that so easily. I'm like, there's no way that's a platinum.
It can't be the platinum. That's way bigger. Exactly. Okay, so I did put on the supply list that you need some pink cardstock. So just any shade of pink that you have. Again, you may want to match it with your floss color or whatever tickles your fancy. This is pink sand, the one I'm using from Spellbinders. But if you don't have pink sand, it's all good. I didn't want to be too fussy about the supply list because I'm all about you guys use the supplies you have, you know. Make it happen. Okay, so I'm going to flip these guys over. And this is a much bigger sheet than I'll end up needing. You won't even need a scrap quite this big. But I'm grabbing some of our best ever craft tape. I'm just going to kind of hold these dies because they are two separate pieces. We do that for flexibility. The outside rim is going to perfectly match your stamp, which I'll show you next. But when you add the inside insert piece, it makes that lovely little stitched flower. So I like that you have that versatility, and I hope that you like it too. Sure it's all in there, and I'm going to need 2 of the little flowers, but cut one at a time, of course. Just run these right through, and of course Spellbinders is all about the dies, so you should have no problem with these little flowers popping right out, which they do. There's 2. And like I said, I need 1 more little guy. And again, once I walk you through the stitching on this, I don't think we're gonna stitch all 3 flowers together. I may go ahead and stitch one of the black flowers just because that's gonna be fun and different. But keep the stitching in mind because it really is, I think it's relaxing. It's something you can kind of just sit and chill out. Grab your needle and your thread, and hopefully it's not stressful for you.
It's good TV watching activity.
Yeah,
I found.
Put your favorite show on, just kind of grab your fun floss, and you guys may have way more, varieties of floss than I have here too. So use your favorites. That's what I encourage you to do. You will need a wet adhesive. I love this. My coworker Robin does tape the floss on the back of her item, and that holds it in place. I prefer to glue it. I think it just stays super sturdy and never, pops off at all. Maybe I pull my string too hard. Robin's probably a better stitcher than I am, and she's more gentle. But you do want to have the floss somehow secured on the back of your project. So that's what I'm going to show you next. So first I'm going to grab some floss out. I am using the pink variegated for these pink flowers in honor of the pink dress Nicole has on. She's like, oh. And DMC floss, which is what I'm using right here, is 6 strands. So you do want to take it apart. You can use 2 or you can use 3 strands together. I think I'm going to use 3. And it actually is best if you take 1 strand at a time. So if you kind of fan out the edges right here, you guys see that, hopefully. My hands are all in the way. It is 6 strands, so if you take 1 strand each and you just kind of gently hold it in your finger, you will be able to pull out 1 single strand at a time. And this just kind of keeps the threads more fluffy. It fluffs them up a little more than just separating it into 2 hunks of 3, right? Does that make sense? Hopefully. And then you just want to line up the 3 strands you have end to end together again and say, become one happy family again. And I have this fun tool, which I bet a lot of you have. Give us a shout out if you do. This is the Main Attraction magnetic tool, and it, of course, originally was for collecting your dies, holding your dies in place, but it can be used for so much more. I'll turn it that way so you can get a good view. Oh, look how cute that is! But it holds my needles just perfectly. Who doesn't, want this? Because I'm always losing these needles if I don't have them secured right here. So even if I have some with thread already, keep those handy there too. Super cool. Okay, so like I said, you thread your needle, and this is a tapestry needle, which means it does not have a sharp point. I suppose if you really poked yourself hard, you could, get a little owie, but this does not have a sharp point, so it's not like your typical sewing needle. So it is pretty blunt in the end. And then the 24 just kind of refers to the size of the eye. And I think the length of the needle, I think it has something to do with that too. But I'm going to start in the center, and I'm just going to pull my needle through. I'm not going to really do a stitch yet, but I want to secure this pretty little floss or thread on the back side of my die. So this is where I'm going to come in with a little dot of glue. And trust me, if you have it secure on the back, you will be so much happier. Your life will be better. Your stitching will be easier. So see my little piece of glue? I'm just going to kind of pinch it.
Life will be better.
Life will be better.
What do you argue with that?
Your crafting life anyway. I don't know about your regular life. Hopefully that's pretty darn good already. But we've got the glue, and this particular glue is barely arts, and it dries super quick. But any kind of wet glue. And I do want to trim it so it doesn't come poking out through one of my other holes. So again, use a piece of tape, use a piece of glue, whatever tickles your fancy, just as long as it's secure. All right, then we just come in, and really, guys, some of you said, I don't know, I don't want to do the stitching, I don't think I like stitching. This really is pretty simple, but the effect is so pretty that I think it's totally worth giving it a try. You're just going to come in at every little outer piercing hole that we have along the flower's edge and just drop your needle in there. Our holes are really die cut so well, and they're plenty big enough that you will have no issue getting your needle through. It's not any kind of effort. You don't have to pull very hard. You just kind of drop that needle through, and every time you come back to the center. So what am I telling you? Simple, right?
Easy peasy.
So simple. Now I'm not doubling my thread. You can see that my little tail's out here. So just go along, and as you kind of go, of course, your thread will get shorter. So just make sure it doesn't end up doubling up, as you go along. But you just go, go, go. We have a beautiful stitched alphabet that I think is in that sale category that Nicole mentioned earlier. And I'm going to show you some cards made with the stitched alphabet. And this is exactly the same process with the stitched alphabet. The holes have a center hole and then little pierced die cut holes around the edge, and so you just simply go around and around and around, and then you sing yourself a song, or you watch your show, or you chit chat, or you Do we have any shout outs from our friends from Crop and Create, Nicole?
Yes, quite a few of those.
Good.
Quite a few of those.
I was thinking we'd had some crossover here for sure.
I would say Glittergate is very divided.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They love the main attraction.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, that thing's handy for so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Now my thread, because I'm looping around and around and around, and I'll show you the back. See, I'm going in and out every single hole as I go along. Oh, I talked about securing my thread. Oh, that's my other end. I'm like, don't tell me it popped out. No, it didn't. I don't think I'm going to have enough thread. I didn't cut mine quite long enough, but it's all good. You can just end this thread when it starts getting too short to manage. I'm going to do one more stitch, and then just grab your next piece.
And I will say, having a little shorter thread, it makes it go faster.
It does, yeah. If you have a really long one, you have a much more likelihood of getting it tangled. Yeah. So definitely you could cut a longer one, but I like to cut, well, it's about the size of this grid paper, which is about 16 inches is about what I like to cut my thread length at.
So kind of a funny thing for me, when I needed to do some stitched letters for a video actually that Roy and I were working on together.
Oh, okay.
And
do I know this story? I don't think I know this story.
Probably not. And I did it over a weekend, and it was a weekend my husband was doing a lot of golfing.
Okay.
And it was also the same weekend that I discovered the show Bridgerton.
Bridgerton.
So, a little scandalous, but so when I see stitching, I think of Bridgerton because I was sitting on the couch stitching a bunch of letters.
But what's funny is that, Regency period, they must have done stitching too, right?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that's one of the skills that the little ladies have to learn, right? If you're going to find a husband, you got to learn how to stitch, ladies.
Learn how to stitch.
Yeah, oh gosh.
I don't know if these flowers will get you a husband, but
yeah.
You never know.
I'm good.
She's like, I'm golden with my hubby I have, my Jim.
There is someone here, Trish said, Jennifer McGuire got me hooked on stitching.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's our buddy Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
We love, love, love the stitching she does.
She's like a machine. She had one video, she did so many cards, stitched
So many
cards. Oh my gosh.
I realized when I threaded mine through that I only had 2 of my 3 strands, so make sure we've got them all.
What did you do?
I know, I was like, you got a hot mess going on here now. All right, I'm going over. Starting over. One was shorter. I mean, it wasn't shorter, but I didn't have it lined up very good. Okay, I'm coming back. What I really want to do, you know what I really want to do now is lick this. But I'm not going to.
I would totally.
I'll try to keep sanitary on our show here.
Lick it.
I know, now it's 3. I probably would lick the end. You. There we go. Golden. Okay, so this is my back of my die. So again, I'm just starting over real quick and finish this little cutie up. Gluing my tail again. Maybe this is good. My thread was short. I can teach you guys how to start over. And I do love this floss that's got that little variation or variegation in it. So it does kind of go from light to dark. If you have floss that's just solid color, that's perfectly fine too. I love that too. It just gives a little bit different look. Maybe this variegated is a little bit softer maybe. But I'll bring the finished card back in a second here too, and you'll see how the pink color changes throughout the floss length. It's pretty cool. And we do sell some floss bundles here. It is DMC, so it's not any kind of, tricky brand or anything. So it's the same as you can get probably at your local store too, but we've kind of done some bundles here at Spellbinders that I think are helpful because they're easy to grab and go.
Mm-hmm.
Grab and pop in your cart and then you'll be all set. So there we go, first flower. Now when you end it, you could just go ahead and put glue, which is what I'll do, or you could even kind of slide a little bit of your stitch underneath some of those back stitches back there. That works too. The main thing you don't want to do, and I think it works well, is not to create a knot back here. We are going to glue this onto a die cut that I'm going to do next. So if you can not have a knot on the back, oh, to get it? Not, do not knot. Your die cut's just going to lay flatter. So this is really nice and flat on the back, so I do love that about it. But if you're struggling and you do feel like you need to have a knot in there, hey, I am not going to tell you that you're not allowed. Oh my gosh, that's way too many knots. Okay, so I'm bringing back my teal paper, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this larger die cut. So this is, of course, made so that your flowers just pop right on here. It's all one piece, which I love. There's no, paper piecing you have to do or anything like that. So I'll quickly cut this out and then kind of show you how it all comes together. And then, of course, those individual dies, which cut out the coordinating stamp, can also layer on top of this. So everything is made to work together. Oh, well.
That is awesome.
It definitely helps if you have the blade side down on your paper.
See, I kind of like when you
Works a
make
lot
these mistakes
better.
because I feel like
We're
even
professionals
you,
here.
as a pro,
We
like
do this for a living, right?
even Kim Kesti makes these
Puts
mistakes.
your die upside down.
I love it when we glimmer the glimmers too. We do that.
I know when we actually glimmer our glimmer plates.
Happens.
Okay. It also happens when I'm sitting here
Chatting.
chatting too.
Yes.
Which is fun though, because, it's always fun to chit chat with friends too. Oh gosh, that worked way better when the die was the blade
that.
side down. Imagine that. Okay, so this is
They said, "Oh, thank goodness she's human."
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so what we're going to do now, of course, you would stitch your other 2 little baby flowers, which I won't do right here on our live show, but I'm just going to put a little bit of wet glue, and again, you can use strong adhesive if you have a strong tape runner that you prefer, but I do like the wet glue because I just feel like it's going to hold it on so well, so nicely.
Gets into all those little threads.
And then, yeah, it kind of gets on the threads and holds it. And I'm going to flip this over because you can see that the green is slightly, ever so slightly smaller than your pink. So you won't really have an issue, lining it up or making sure it's, on your die cut properly. So we did that also purposefully too, so you wouldn't have to stress too much about getting it lined up. But so cute. Oh my gosh. So then you can add a little cute pearl or a gem or something fun in between. I'm going to grab the finished card. I was looking for my stencil panel. Did I bury it? Did I bury it somewhere? Well, I will bring the finished one in here. And then I also do have one other little tip I wanted to share with you too. You have, where is my other stencil panel? Oh, here it is, I see it. I wanted to share because when I first designed this card, adored the colors I have on here. I have the pink. We know our pink sand cardstock matches this ink perfectly. But honestly, when I laid it down first and I had these other two guys stitched, I was like, oh my gosh, wow. That is pretty, but it's really busy, and I kind of thought about where am I going to put my sentiment. So this is the design process that goes on in my head. When I have this here, I think, what can I do to kind of create that little soft barrier between my focal point here and this little bit busier background? So I came up with a good old-fashioned idea of vellum. So I just grabbed our arches die. A circle would be fabulous, an oval, a square, anything that you have in your stash. You could go ahead and pop that behind. And I did use some foam squares, but you can see right away how that just kind of quiets that background down. You still can totally see the background behind, as you can see in this finished card, but it just gives that little bit of a buffer. So you guys decide, do you think it needs the vellum on there to give it that softness, or do you like the go bold or go home of just having it straight on the card base? There's no wrong answer. It's absolutely just depends on the look you want and kind of what you're going after. So to finish this card, all you guys need to do is do your two little stitch flowers there, glue them on with or without vellum, and then you can see, like I said, I trimmed this card base down a little bit. This is a top folding card. You can see my fold is on the top there, but it could be regular, and this is an A2 size card. And then I just stamped the sentiment in plain black down here. We'll be doing some stamping on the next project, but I thought that would be just simple and sweet. You could add some embossing here if you wanted or whatever, but I think the plain black just kind of pops right there. All right, so I'm going to bring this guy back in, and I know that, let me grab my trimmer here. You guys want to see a card without some of the stitching on it, so let's do some of that. Let's do some stamping right now, and I'll kind of show you how to build the layers of this flower, and it'll be really sweet. I'm going to trim my white down just a little bit. I just have plain white that I'm going to be doing my stamping on, although it kind of looks like I stamped on pink paper here. I didn't. I just did my regular white.
Oh, really? Yeah, it does. I thought it was pink on pink.
Because I think I'm going to share the little tip on how to kind of get that softness on there, but it's really just using your distress inks and doing that fun layering.
Kim, before you jump into this,
Yeah.
I have to ask a question. We get this question
Let's do
all
it.
the time, and you're the expert. I want you to answer. How
Am I really, though? No.
You really are. How do we adhere vellum? We get this question all the time, right? Because the vellum is so adhesive. So what is your tip on that?
Well, this particular card was easy, and it probably is a tip that I would, tell anybody. But this particular one, the adhesive is 100% hiding behind the die cuts. So there's no adhesive here. In fact, this is popped up. I'm not sure if Roy can get in here. Pretty close. But I have the vellum popped up away from my background. And I have the flowers popped up. Oh, here, I'll turn the card a little bit more. Ooh, look at that. You guys can see the foam behind the die cut between the vellum and background, and then another foam piece on top of the vellum, but also lined up. So you can see that they're both lined up right there. So they're all hiding behind the die cuts. So that for sure is one fantastic way. But I will have to say, I have used the Barely Arts glue, and I've used very lightly, very delicately, put it, if I'm gluing vellum, straight down on my card base, just a little dot here and there. And this dries so clear that it really is, kind of miraculous actually, because it doesn't show on the vellum. They do have vellum tape. They had that back in the day when I was doing a lot more stamping, and vellum was all the rage. And I feel like that did work, but I honestly don't even know if they make that anymore. The, tape that's supposed to be invisible on the vellum. I'm not sure.
I don't think I've seen it for ages.
But my biggest tip is really what I just showed you. Hide it behind your focal pieces, your die cuts, your stamped images, whatever you're doing there. So I'm using a stamping platform, and that's really kind of important for this particular technique I'm going to show you. You guys can absolutely experiment around with other techniques, but because I'm going to be stamping this multiple times, I feel like the stamping platform is really kind of the key, because I'm going to do a couple different layers here. So what I'm going to do first is my light pink. Pink, where'd you go? Okay, seriously, I'm a messy crafter. Here it is. I'm going to be using my light pink first, and then I'm going to be using a little bit of worn lipstick to shade the edges. So I'm going to show you that first, and then I'll come up with the second layer, because this is a layered stamp, and stamp that for sure with the worn lipstick. But I'm going to start with spun sugar. Say that 5 times fast, Nicole.
It's a mouthful.
Spun sugar.
I do love the names of these colors, though.
They're very sweet. Tim Holtz has got a good thing going.
Someone said, I might as well just sign over my paycheck to Tim.
Yeah, that's about right. So you can see the spun sugar. I want to make sure there's no... I didn't really condition these stamps per se. A lot of people talk about conditioning, especially these solid ones. You can kind of rub your hand over and make sure that there's no residue left over from the stamp situation. So this is a brand new stamp for me. I did my samples with what we call our prototype stamps. So again, you can see that I'm doing a couple different times on here. Still feel like there's a little smoogie on my stamp.
Yeah.
Get off, smoogie. Sometimes there's just something left on there. I think I got it now. So again, because this ink is so pale too, I'm not minding that I'm doing a couple different layers on there. But what will come in now is I'm going to grab my worn lipstick, and I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but it's pretty cool. You can take this, and I'm not wiping this ink off or anything that I have on here. I'm taking the blender brush. I'm just grabbing a little bit of the worn lipstick, and I'm just feathering some around the edges here. So this is going to give you that depth that almost looks like I, stamped on cardstock. So I'm just kind of trying to do around the edges. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if you did this directly with the ink pad, if you daubed it on there, you would be much, much more streaky. So gotta love the blending brush where you get that softness on
I have not seen this tip before.
Ooh.
I'm mesmerized.
It does give a lot of depth and dimension, I think, and you can even see it already through the window here before I even lift the platform up, but it does make it very pretty. So see, and you only need to do that once. You just need that soft ink, and you really don't want to do it more, otherwise it'll change your whole flower to a darker pink. Isn't that pretty? So just that little bit of richness. And I do think it works well with lighter colors. I haven't really tried it with super dark inks yet, but I don't see why it wouldn't work, but I think it shows up. It really kind of pops with these lighter inks. Okay, now, like I said, we do have the layering situation going on here. So I'm going to grab my layering stamp. You've got the kind of the more dramatic scalps for the larger flower, and then these little guys that look a little bit like spider legs. That's for the smaller flower. And I'm going to stamp these both with that darker ink. That's the worn lipstick. But again, stamping platforms, so delightful, so easy to use. We do love our Misty. We sell it here at Spellbinders. I'm sure you guys have checked them out, or you have another brand that you like. One thing to keep in mind when you do kind of get these on here, just take a minute, twirl the flowers a little bit. They're pretty even on all sides, but there might be one way that fits better than the next. This flower in particular, you want to be pretty well centered. If you're using a clear block, just take your time, line it up nice, and stamp it on there with the ink. This flower I'm not as critical about, because remember I told you how the die cuts a really close edge. Any imperfections that we have, or little stamp things hanging out, are going to be totally covered up by the magic of cutting it out with a die. Okay, so once that's positioned on there, I'm going to just add my darker ink. So this is the Worn lipstick. Any 2 shades of pink absolutely will work. I had some Ulta New inks I was using earlier that were just gorgeous. In fact, one of the samples was all used with Ulta New ink. I'll have to show you guys in a little bit.
Okay, I have to admit, I felt like the
There we go.
thing to push the stamping platform was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But now after watching you with your fist and watching another video with someone pull up their sweatshirt and do it yesterday.
Oh yeah, yeah. We saw that somewhere.
I get it. I get it. Yes.
Yes, and you know who has a really pretty, ink press thing is Pink Fresh. They have such a pretty one.
Oh,
and
it's
it
so
just
cute.
presses on there and it's so cute. And oh, we don't have one of Spellbinders yet, but who knows? Maybe we will someday. But they are pretty cool. But look, you guys, so easy, so simple. Oh, I guess I shouldn't even take it off yet because I got to do my centers here. But just adding that second layer, all of a sudden these flowers just come to life. They're just so cute, so precious. All right, so I got 2 sizes of centers. Oh, you can tell I have used these little stamps before. So you just want to line one up for each flower. And then this ink you want to use, I'm not using a Distress Oxide. I'm going to go ahead and use Hero Arts. It's just kind of a dye ink right here. You could use the Ranger Black ink. You can use, pretty much anything you want. But you want a nice, crisp, dark black ink. Oh, you know what? I know I had this stamp off. I think my stamp had a tiny little imperfection. Let's see if I can grab my other one.
Your proto?
I think my proto did, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, do I have my other one here? Might not have my other one. Okay, I'm going to just go with it. I think it has a tiny little imperfection, but I can fix it. I know how to fix it. Okay, I'm going to just stamp one right now, and then I'm going to come back and pick up my second stamp. I do remember now that this one has a tiny little line on there, but I will give you guys the trick on how to fix it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to stamp them twice.
It looks like a
to get 'em nice and
happy
dark.
flower. It's smiling.
Smiling. Actually, I might have Nicole go right over to my desk and grab me a black ink pen. You guys probably know this trick already, but I'll grab a black ink pen and then have kind of show the little tricky trick. But I'm going to die cut while we're wrestling down a black pen. I have those little ink pens that have the number 5 on the cap, so they're kind of a drawing pen, I guess is the correct name for them. Thank you, Nicole. All right, so I'm bringing back my cutting plates, and we'll see if we can get them blade side down. This is very key. I actually have both of them that have a little bit of tape on them, so I'm going to actually reuse my Best Ever Craft tape because you can do that. Best Ever Craft tape is amazing. Use it multiple times. Yay, she brought me a pen. So you're just going to want to line up your flower, and again, this die cut is going to cut right to the edge of your inked flower here. So that's what's pretty cool, is that's going to give you that really sharp finished edge. So just kind of twirl it a second until it lines up pretty. Move this tape until I get it lined up. Twirl, twirl, twirl. There we go. That looks pretty good. And of course you would do the same exact thing if you were doing the stamp with leaves. This particular project I'm using the, die cut leaves that go with it, but you would do the same process with the leaves. Die cutting. And of course they just pop right out. And oh my gosh, are they ever cute? So fun. So look how sweet. They're just darling. I'm going to bring the finished card back in here while I pop this over here. And I'll show you. Nicole just brought me just a little drawing pen right here. So this happens to be a Tombow one. But anything that's super fine and black you absolutely can come in. I'm going to use just kind of a light hand, and I'm just going to kind of fill in around the polka dots. So you have to be a little bit careful of the polka dots, and just very lightly. You barely have to touch the pen on there, and just not bad, not bad. Don't mind it. And then the very last thing I did on this particular, I have my little die cut I just showed you in the darker teal. So I cut it in the lighter peridot here. And I'm going to use a foam square to pop it up. Grab my foam square. So you could glue it directly to this green leaf, of course, but I felt like for this project it was kind of sweet to pop it up. And then for the very last finishing touch, I'm going to grab a bit of glaze and just put it in that flower center. But aren't they cute when they're all die cut? So again, if stitching is not your jam, I know that you're still going to get so much use out of this darling little set. So cute. Oh, now I see what I did in this bit. I used 2 big flowers here. It's meant to have 2 small flowers, which I think is actually really sweet. But if you wanted a bigger, fluffier bouquet, just die cut 2 flowers, and then of course it's not going to show behind the die cut right there. The green die cut's not going to show at all. Okay, let me make sure my glaze is not going to be clogged up here. Alright, so what I have here is our glazing glue, and it is similar to, I guess, what you would have experienced with the glossy accents or something like that. It is really good quality glue and glaze. It's dimensional, and unlike glossy accents, which I have to say does get a little bubbly sometimes, this one really doesn't have any bubbles ever, and it dries very pretty and very dimensional. I'm just going to do these little black centers, and I think it just adds a little touch of gloss, and they will take a little bit to dry. So I will try not to touch them while they're drying, but but I'll kind of tip this one toward the camera, and you guys can see that pretty glaze. Ooh, nice and close, Roy. So isn't that pretty? So it just adds just a little, almost looks like a little enamel dot or something in the middle. So it just has that little bit of glossy pretty. So I'll carefully put this die cut, maybe I'll just put it right on top, and then I will try not to bump it. So cute. All right. So, any questions on this card? I was going to stitch a black flower. I have some already cut out here. But I kind of feel like you guys have got the stitching down pat. One thing I wanted to share with you on finishing this card, of course you have your stenciled background, and then you can take these little leaves and just kind of cut your die cut apart. So again, another great use of the die that's a little bit different. And again, I just use a scrap, so you don't even have to cut the whole thing out here. Just trim away your leaf from your die cut. Kind of give it a little curve, straighten it out if you need to. Then all of a sudden you have a new different way to use those leaves that are on your stem. This one's super easy because you can just cut it and you actually still have a little bit of a stem left there. So you could tuck that in any flowers. So again, fun way to dress up your project. This is the same exact floss that I used before. Oh no, I didn't. Sorry. This is the lighter floss. Remember I was telling you about the peachy colors that match? But otherwise it's stitched exactly the same. This is the brighter pink we used earlier. Well, I should show off this little thing here before we go too much further. Showing you some more samples. We have this really cute die set that was originally part of our club subscription here at Spellbinders. And this has a matching stamp, but I just brought the dies because I thought they're so cute. And this is what I used to put my floss on. So this die cut is so fantastic. And what I did is I put my cardstock, just because I like colorful things, I kind of did it coordinating to my floss. I cut this out 2 times from the pink, and then I just glued the 2 layers of pink together here, just so it's really super sturdy. And then I just wound my floss around, and then this little slit right here is, of course, you can tuck your floss in. But this die set, maybe we'll see if Nicole can even get a link, but it's pretty easy to find. It was from May of this year, so it would be the stamp and die combo. The die is, of course, sold separately also, but it is from May of 2022, so you guys shouldn't have too much trouble finding it. Maybe Nicole can find a link. But
I will.
This right here is so cute too. I'm dying for you guys to go to the website because it makes a color wheel. So you can see that this group of threads kind of goes to a triangle. So this is when you're using your imagination, because I don't have the actual card here, but you can stitch this whole thing into such a cute color wheel. And there's tons of examples on the website, so definitely go check that out. And this guy's even on sale right now. It's a really good price. I swear it's like under $10. I think I went and checked it out. But it also does have a couple dies that match words of the stamp set. But again, even if you don't buy the stamp set, you're going to get lots of use out of those dies. I just thought they were so cute. So I wanted to share. Okay, so I want to share one more idea of using this set without the stitching. So I'm going to teach that faux stitching. Remember Nicole said, ooh, what are we going to do? It's not anything super terribly tricky, but I think you guys will get a kick out of it. Actually, let me show one card here before I bring in the faux stitching card. So remember the cards we just did with the stamping? Here's that card I promised to show you with the Altenew inks. So here we have some really pretty buttercream inks, then with some pinks and peaches on top, and they're just so sweet. And then here's the leaves too. Since I didn't stamp the leaves for you, I thought I wanted to share the leaves. And we do have pictures of all of these. That PDF I mentioned earlier is posted to the Facebook group, and Jen will also have it on your password protected page too. So you're gonna have photos of all these, and I'll add them to the album too. Heck yeah, why not? Then you guys have lots of pretty pictures. But let's talk about, here's a little stem, here's a sweet little die cut flower. Again, the projects are absolutely darling even without one single bit of stitching. But I did want to share with you a little way to add some faux stitching. So it is bringing in one of your favorite little fine markers. And these are ones that we're testing out from Le Pen, and I think we're going to carry these on our website too. We're kind of bringing in a few things that work well with our other products. So these are a set of, these happen to be retro colors. This Le Pen brand, I'm sure a lot of you have these probably in your stash already, from Marvi Uchida. And they come in tons of different colors. They come in some really lovely packs of, some basic colors, and I think they have a pastel pack. I thought the retro pack was pretty fun. So I'm actually going to take this lightest kind of mauve-y pink color, just because it goes super well with this super pale cardstock. And I did this technique. Well, I'm not going to show you the one I messed up first. I am going to show my messed up one though. But I think the biggest key here for doing faux stitching is having a pen that's pretty fine. You don't want a super thick line. But again, grab some of your favorite pens, try them out. And if I do kind of get in close, I'm not sure if this is going to show up right. Tell me what you think. The die does have the embossed line on it. Can you see that? Oh, yeah, you can see it. See that pretty embossing on there? So I'm going to try to just follow those embossed lines right there and just draw them in with pen. Robin has done this too. Again, our gal who does a lot of the stitching and stuff here. And she said you can use a ruler too, but I'm like, you know what? Stitching is kind of like more organic. So I didn't choose to use a ruler. You absolutely could, but I'm just going to come in with my pen here and just kind of trace these lines. I'm starting in the middle and going out, but you could go the other way. You could start, out and go in. Maybe that's a little bit easier. Go both ways. But I'm just basically following along, and I'm not trying to be too slow at it. I think if you kind of do quick and decisive, it's going to come out, pretty straight. But again, your threads are not perfectly straight either. Like, they're not ruler straight. So I'm not too worried about having, super duper straight line. And I think another key here is using a little bit lower contrast on your pen color versus your cardstock color. If you do black pen on white cardstock, I'm telling you, it's not going to look that good, because it's going to look really harsh. Like, you're going to see harsh. You're going to see every little imperfection. Whereas this, I think it's a lot softer. You've kind of got that tone on tone. Then I grabbed a sweet little piece of kind of one of our pretty mirrored cardstocks we have here on the site, and pop that behind, and you get that sweet little gleam. And I think it's just fun. And I did do the center then with one of our little pearl dots. I think I've got some here. And that actually ends up covering like a lot of the center mark there.
Imperfections, perhaps.
Some of the imperfection that's in the very center. I don't remember what size I used.
I do think one of the cool things, though, that when we
there.
first started designing the stitching dies is that Josie added those lines, those embossed lines.
Those embossed lines, exactly.
And I think it, especially if you decide to take the extra step and run it through with your rubber mat and really get the, it shows even just die cutting, but running through the embossing even deeper, and so you don't have to stitch. I mean, they're still very cute.
Exactly. So you guys want to see the one that doesn't look so good? This is where I found out that high contrast is not real cool. I mean, it's not terrible, but
looks like fireworks.
I did put it, and I started looking at it going, it kind of looks like spider legs a little bit because it's so high contrast. So I used the darker pink here, and I guess I didn't think it was going to be that dark. But I do love the softer, sweeter, kind of vibe going on. So you guys want to see my finished card, and this has a ooh la la factor too, which really drives up the wow factor. Because I did the stitched background. So I couldn't stand it. I had to do something stitched on this card. But I do love the flowers. Like, just picture this on a sweet little pattern paper in the back, or a solid cardstock, or maybe an inked cardstock in the back. But I think those faux stitched flowers look pretty darn good. I'm kind of loving it. I'm kind of jiving it. So what is this background, you might ask? So this is
what is it?
Probably one of my favorite dies. One of my favorite stitch dies. I'm just going to call it and say it probably is, out of the collection we have here at Spellbinders. It's a cover plate die. It does an A2 front, and it's just so fun. And actually, it originally launched with holiday, with Christmas, but it is so good for every other occasion too that I just find myself pulling it out all the time. It's absolutely stunning with no stitching on it at all, because you have all that lovely detail and all those pierced points right there. It does have the outline too that you can cut it. But I want to show you a couple samples of one for sure that I did with the stitched background. Look how pretty. So it's just really nice. I just went in with kind of a little bit of a rainbow look. I guess I've got my reds, yellows, greens, and blues and purples here. But isn't that pretty? And look how different. That background die just takes on such a different life depending on what you put on top of it. I really love it with these flowers too, though. So cute. And I think I had one. Did I have one more?
And guess what? It's on sale.
It is on sale.
Marisa put it on sale for y'all.
Yay!
Yes.
And so here's the holiday one. So this, I think, was the original card that Josie created when we launched it for the holiday. But so pretty with the red too, right? And you can see this is kind of that variegated floss too that gives it a little bit more dimension. But look at the sparklies in the middle. So pretty. Love it, love it. Yeah, so adore that die. Love the faux stitching kind of idea on there. So fun. Let's see, what's another project I haven't shared? And then I think I might do the little. Are we running out of time at all?
It's 6:10, so I don't know what time we're supposed to be done, but
okay.
We're
a little over an hour now. I did want to share the lunar paste background because it's fun, and I probably actually don't necessarily have to stencil it right now. I will show the product. This is the Ranger lunar paste. So Simon Hurley has so many fun different colors. But I thought it would be kind of cool to do this tone on tone look again, keeping the background a little bit more subtle. So I did exactly how I did the modeling paste, just laid it on. You can see I didn't worry about doing all the edges completely solid. I kind of love that organic kind of hit or miss look. But this particular color is Later Gator, and it's really fun. So it goes in the background. I put it on our rainforest background, but look at that gleam. So pretty, right? And this time, this stamping was done on colored cardstock. So that gives it a little bit extra depth too on that particular one. Same little cute black centers. And then, because I couldn't stop with the lunar paste once I did one, I wanted to show you this last card because, again, no stitching. Promised I'd share some samples with no stitching. So 2 fun cards right here. And this one really is just kind of your classic. If you're not going to stitch, it still can be so, so beautiful. What I did is I took that outline die of the flower. I'll just grab it right here. And I cut a background for the pink. You know, once I cut the kind of inset part on the top, I cut a solid white for behind the pink. So then that really makes the dots pop out more. So I didn't really show that on any of my other projects earlier, but definitely take advantage of that solid shape die cut for the flower. and put it behind, and it could be any color. In this particular case, I use that, you remember, that kind of metallic-y. A metallic gold would be gorgeous, silver, solid colors. Just really let your imagination go crazy and add all the fun colors behind your die cut. And then that just makes the stitching, or the areas where you would stitch, pop out, and then you don't have to stitch. It's just as cute. So fun. So love all those sentiments on that stamp set. I know that you guys are going to have a blast with that because they're just so sweet and special. We tried to thought of it. We were thinking of a name for this kit, and we're like, you know what? It's just sweet. So we're just calling it Sweet Stitching. That's all there is to it. There's just no other words. Sometimes you just got to go with the basics. But bring in all my pretty cards. I should show a couple more stitch cards, right? Do we have enough time? We have enough
I think
time,
you should show some of the alphabet ones you guys have done.
Let's show some alphabet ones.
I will tell you, I was a little bit of a skeptic on this alphabet, and then to see the projects that you guys did, that the influencers did. Oh my gosh, so cool.
Fun.
So
yes, we'll bring in a few more stitch cards. I'll just do this one last shot of the 7 cards we did or showed off during today's class, and again, all 7 of these are on that PDF that's going to be available to you. Pretty pictures, some supply lists for the original 3 that we did. And if you guys have any questions at all, just pop into the group. I definitely will be hanging out in there, and I can answer any questions if you're like, oh, Kim, I don't remember, what color you used for this or that or whatever. And I definitely will help out. But so super fun. So Sweet Stitching is in the books. Yay, yay, yay. I'm going to show off a couple more stitched cards because now that you guys are all hooked, those of you who said maybe we're on the fence about stitching, we can find
Carrie
some
said
more excuses to
She literally said, I've been on the fence about stitching, but you have sold me. I'm ready to dive in.
Yay, Carrie. So here's just a classic example of the alphabet dies. And again, those are on sale in that link we provided. There is a whole pack. You can buy the entire alphabet in one kit and caboodle. It's actually called a bundle, not a kit and caboodle, but so super fun because you're going to want all the letters. You're going to want to spell all the fun words. And this one just has just the very basic stitching. Again, maybe I'll have Roy come in super duper close here. And it's just exactly what I just taught you. Start in the center of that little circle there and just go out to each little point. Roy's like, how close do you want? And then this was fun because I just matched my thread with my cardstock colors. And this is not variegated. This is just your solid basic DMC floss. So super cute, so special. Little embossed background there. And then if you really want to amp it up and amp up your game, you can do something like the cards that I created for Scrapbook and Cards magazine. So I know y'all have it. You probably saw these, but I thought it would be kind of fun to show them live too. So this one has got some stitching, but then I kind of upped the game. Actually, I'll switch to the red card. It might be easier to see because it's not quite so dark. After I did the little stitches in the middle, to the middle point on the die, then I came back in with this contrasting floss, in this case yellow, and I did a little wee baby French knot. So isn't that cute? So that really makes it a more flower. And I have to say, I was very inspired by our designer Yana Smokula, who designs for us here at Spellbinders. And she did this on one of her cards, and I was like, oh, gotta try it, gotta do it. So I am very grateful to her for providing that fun inspiration for me. And if you want to learn how to do a French knot, super duper easy, but there's like 50,000 YouTubes on how to do a French knot.
I don't know how to do that.
Trust me, it's super fun. Same thread thickness, same everything. And of course the last one here says happy fall.
So you're mixing the stitched alphabet with our Be Bold alphabet. Okay.
Exactly. So these little letters are our Be Bold letters, and they're so cute. They come in upper and lowercase. I use lowercase here, but they're so fun. And then I kind of sprinkled in a few of our different floral die cuts. We have, of course, a beautiful floral called Bold Blooms that we all love here and we use all the time. But I have a few of our little fall leaves and stuff tucked in here too. So those are really cute too. So fun, right?
Awesome.
Any more stitching ones? I'll show you one more flower stitching one. Since our Let's Stamp Together kit was kind of floral, this one's very sweet. And I think this one this is a quiz, Nicole. This is called is it called Sweet Floral or just Stitch Floral?
Stitch Flower, I think.
Stitch Flowers. Keep it simple. But I wanted to share 2 cards here because, again, very little stitching on this card. In fact, the flowers barely stitched at all, just the little centers. The leaves are stitched here, which is really cool. And then this one has, of course, more stitching on it. So again, you guys can make it your own. You can stitch as much or as little as you want. And again, this stitch flower is very cute, very easy to do. Just really, the stitching just brings it to life. I don't know, it's so special, so fun. So, gosh, I feel like this is just a kind of a powerhouse whirlwind of stitching, Stitch Fest here. It was so much fun. I am so glad you guys chose to spend this little bit of time with me, this hour, hour and a half. I'm so very grateful to you. Now I hope you grab that Sweet Stitching set, go to town, use that stencil, use the dies, use all the things, all the stamps, and create some beautiful projects, because I will definitely be popping into the Facebook group and watching for those projects. And I promise to post my individual shots of these 7 cards that we did tonight. And as always, you can visit our website at, of course, spellbinderspaperarts.com. Check out that link we gave you, but also visit our website all the time, because I'm telling you, there's always something new. There's always something coming soon. It just feels like there's always much exciting things happening over there too at the time. Thank you to Nicole for being my lovely moderator.
Happy to be here. Always inspired.
Thank you, Roy, for being my lovely technician back there. You like the lovely Roy? He's like, I do. But most of all, thank you.
I'm wrapping up the show here. I'm trying to do things.
Oh my gosh. Mostly thanks to you for being here. Keep watching for Scrapbook and Cards, because I know they're always coming up with fun things too. So we love to play along with our friends over there. In the meantime, have a great rest of your week, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.